Truth Unveiled here, and today I'm going to be talking about robot cops and the robot technology that is here and ready to go. Because I don't know if you know this, but it's only a matter of time. And I'm here at the Free Thought Project, and it says, as early as 2016, robot cops will be patrolling your streets. No, seriously, this is a serious, urgent report. And it says by 2016, there will likely be a 6-foot tall police robot patrolling the streets and handing out parking tickets. The Telebot, developed by Florida International University's Discovery Lab, and here's a picture of it, has been field tested and is undergoing final tune-up. And mind you, this was back in 2014 when they were first announcing this, so you can only imagine the progress that they've made from this. But it says, with the swiveling head and dexterous fingers, the humanoid robot is controlled remotely by a person wearing an Oculus Rift headset and motion tracking vest, armbands, and gloves. The voice of the remote operator is transmitted through the robot to the unfortunate citizen on the receiving end. The menacing look of Telebot is no accident. Its design is one that, quote, can intimidate and display a sense of authority. Justification for this, let's just call it robot cop, is couched in appeals to sympathy to help disabled officers and veterans get back on the job. The reality is that it introduces another level of intimidation to the increasingly militarized police state and brings us one step closer to dystopian future where autonomous robots carry out law enforcement. And it reminds us of what the 1984 Orwellian type society, as well as what the military police state, what are they getting ready for? But it goes on to say, if a human police officer can get away with killing so easily, which they can, as the Free Thought Project documents, what would this mean for the robot officer and even cyborgs as well? Because I've also reported on this and talked about it as well before. But it goes on to talk about that a fully autonomous robot officer is already in the works. The Knightscope K5 does not wield weapons but serves as a total surveillance machine for cops or private clients. So you hear that total surveillance machine. What are they getting ready for? I've done tons of reports of how your government surveils and spies on you every single way they can, every single chance they get, even if they have to spy on you through your dishwasher. And I'm not joking when I say that. So it's no surprise that they're getting us ready for robots as well. But it goes on to say it has facial recognition. That's all we hear about with street lights and different things like that. Even your TVs and your computers, and scans 1,500 license plates per minute, captures audio and 360-degree video, tests the air for chemicals, and maps its surroundings with 3D radar and laser. It can learn to distinguish suspicious activities from normal activity. Yeah, because if you're even watching this video, you could be deemed a terrorist and suspicious activity. I'm telling you, that's the bigger agenda. So it goes on to talk about some other robots and how they've been used differently, as well as other robots, and how they're and how the DoD and our government is even getting ready for robots. And later on, I'm going to take you to DARPA and some other government to prove to you that our government is definitely getting ready for this, as well as our favorite, and I'm being sarcastic, the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, just like they're arming themselves with 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition. If you don't believe me, go look it up. What are they getting ready for is the question. Now, this was reported a few days actually, but it hasn't been getting as much attention, but I definitely want to report it from the Activist Post, and it says, meet China's new taser-wielding riot control robot. And it says, over the past few years, the police in America and around the world have been facing more scrutiny than they ever have before. I wonder why. Their abuses and arrogant demeanor are now easily recorded and displayed on the internet for all to see. Remember, this plays into the New World Order, One World Government agenda, because you can even look it up that the parents of Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin are known Freemasons. It was an Illuminati ritual, so you can look that up. But it goes on to say, as a result, it's never been so easy to criticize the police. But it's important to remember that not all cops are bad. Of course, it may seem that way because people are much more likely to turn on their smartphone cameras when a cop is being an intolerable tyrant. There's still plenty of police officers out there who have a conscience, and no doubt the government is afraid of these officers more than anyone else. They'll never be able to crack down on the population unless they have near 100% obedience from their enforcers. That's why the governments of the world are very interested in developing robots for military and law enforcement applications. Oh, who's interested in it? Governments of the world, as in world governments, as in the one world government agenda, the satanic new world order agenda, and martial law. Is it making sense now? They need yes men more than ever, and if they can't get enough yes men to enforce their onerous rules, or what I call draconian measures, then they'll turn to yes robots to fill the gap and replace all the cops and soldiers who don't toe the line, I should say. And that's exactly what's happening with these kiosks that are going on that we're seeing, because they're mentally conditioning us and getting us ready for all of these things. They're getting us ready for this stuff, and they know darn well that many of the police officers and law enforcement, that they're not down with this whole new world order agenda, and they're not down with taking out American citizens. Yes, you heard me. The reason they cannot tell you this stuff and the reason they cannot talk about this is because they made an oath never to talk about it. Don't tell the secrets, keep the secrets. So what are they doing? They, as in the government, well, since they can't get law enforcement to do what they want them to do, they have to get the foreign troops, if not many of them are cloned, and then they also have to resort to robots and cyborgs, and we already seen that being pushed with the movies because the technology is already here, folks. But of course they do it with private companies as well, and you already see this type of technology going on. What are they getting ready for is the question. And so then other reports go on to talk about China and how they're ready to unleash killer robot army to fight off terrorism, because that's what they're really fighting off, because that's the solution to fighting off terrorism, even though we know who's really funding terrorism. But I want to turn your attention also to the Telegraph that also talks about China and how they're revealing RoboCop that can zap rioters with electricity. And I've gone over the report FM 3.39-40, also known as internment resettlement, where the military and the government, so-called, they have the legal right to zap you with any type of thing that they want. They have the right to hit you with batons and protests. They have the right to do this stuff, folks. They're making up draconian laws and trying to get away with it. But it goes on to say that China has developed a robot soldier capable of controlling rioting humans in an effort to aid the country's anti-terrorism measures. And if you don't think and trust me, it's not just China that's doing this. Oh no, it's also America too, because America really has to fight off terrorism. But it goes on to say that Ambot, which is 1.5 meters tall and weighs more than 150 kilograms, can reach speeds up to 18 kilograms when patrolling to protect the peace, according to the Chinese newspaper People, because that's what they're doing. The machine was designed and built by the National Defense University and is equipped with numerous sensors to detect unrest. It can be controlled remotely to intervene in dangerous situations, deploying an electrically charged riot control tool, presumably similar to a police baton or a taser. Did you hear that? I hope so. And what's the bigger agenda? I'm telling you all, if you're all not seeing this big agenda and how they're pushing terrorism, there is a huge agenda. Remember what the government does: problem, reaction, solution. They cause the problem by funding these so-called terrorists, which we know that they're the ones funding it, and then they cause the reaction of, oh my gosh, fear for your life. And then their solution to their controlled problem is, oh, introduce more security measures, increase security here, increase security there. Oh, robots, that'll do it. And they're gonna say, oh, we need robots in order to counter terrorism. We need robots to control riots in case riots break out. Not to mention, we know darn well with these Jade Helm drills and these UX drills that your government is even preparing for riot control. They're preparing for large mainstream riots worldwide, especially in America. We see that with test runs that are going on in Venezuela. We see it with the Middle East. It's only a matter of time until it comes and reaches the American shores as well as Europe. And the question is, are you ready for this stuff when it gets here? So then the article goes on to talk about how the robot's been showcased and what the robot can do, all of its features, as well as the staffing that is required by it. I'm telling you, that is what they're getting ready for. That is the bigger agenda. But if you just thought it was a science fiction movie, oh, think again because Hollywood's telling you truth. And here I am at the New York Times and it says a night watchman with wheels because you see those types of robots and robotic technology in hospitals as well as the medical field. But don't get it twisted, it's coming to law enforcement as well. And it goes on to say that the night watchman of the future is 5 feet tall, weighs 300 pounds, and looks a lot like R2-D2. Is that mentally programming you, mentally conditioning and predictive programming without the whimsy, and will work for $6.25 an hour. A company in California has developed a mobile robot known as the K5 Autonomous Data Machine as a safety and security tool for corporations as well as for schools and neighborhoods. So we're seeing it all over the place, and that's the agenda that they're going to keep feeding us, that, oh, safety and security, it's for your safety and it's for your security. But is it really? Let's keep going. We found at Nightscope after what happened at Sandy Hook, said William Santana Lee, a co-founder of that technology company now based in Sunnyvale, California. You are never going to have an armed officer in every school. When we know darn well that Sandy Hook was a hoax. That's right. Do your research. There was no Sandy Hook, or as I call it, Sandy Hoax. But remember, what? Problem, reaction, solution. They caused the problem by staging all these hoaxes and all these massacres that aren't really real. Some are real, but many of them are not, in order to do what? To unveil this technology that they've already had hidden for how many hundreds of years, if not tens of years, because they, trust me folks, they've already had this technology. They, as in your government, they're just finally revealing it to you and finally releasing it to you, but they want you to think that, oh, it's brand new, that, oh, we've never had it before, when we know better than that. And they're going to keep pushing the Sandy hoaxes and all these other agendas in order to fulfill their agenda of the new world order and to mentally condition us so that we can get ready for robots on the street, so that we can just think it's okay, when really this is far from the case. And I hope you're seeing that with both your eyes open. And if you don't think this is coming to America, well, I suggest you think again, because here I am at Activist Post again, and it says crime fighting robots hitting the streets in California. Like I said, they're mentally conditioning your mind to get ready for this stuff. And like I said earlier, the government already has this technology, and now they're going to use it instead of for good, they're going to use it for even more harm. And we know they're going to do that because they're waiting for the crisis and the emergency and the economic collapse. They're waiting for people to go nuts. They're waiting for people to go crazy so that they can unveil this technology to you to make it seem as though, oh, it's getting better, oh, it's for your good, when we know better than that. The question, though, is, do you know the real agenda? Are you ready for the bigger agenda ahead? And can you see the warning signs ahead of time and know that this is even at the door? It's at the horizon. It's even here. It should not surprise us when we see, of course, our favorite, Israel, when they talk about killer robots and drones as well. And it says Israel is the world's biggest exporter of military drones, and this is from Vice News, used around the world for everything from surveillance to precision rocket attacks on speeding cars and remote locales. Israel's drone program hasn't steered as much controversy as its American counterpart, but not because of their targeted killings are any less fatal. Vice sent Simon Otrovsky to a drone testing airfield in Israel to find out what their latest eye in the sky can see. And I'll link the video below so you can actually see it for yourself, because there is an accompanying video with this post. But it's interesting that what Israel is the world's biggest exporter of military drones. And who do they work with? With America as well. I wonder why that is. Oh, they're not terrorists though. They're not the terrorist nations. Don't worry about them. Israel's always innocent. Israel has to defend itself from terrorism from ISIS, even though ISIS seems to never attack Israel at all. I wonder why that is. I'm telling you, there's a bigger agenda behind all this, and you're going to see exactly what that agenda is. And so I'm here at Defense News, and it says, introducing Israeli 12-kilo killer robot. And it says, imagine an intuitively trained special missions operative endowed with 360-degree vision who works alone or in packs to breach high-risk safe houses and bunkers, ready to shoot to kill within a second of an officer's command. That's exactly what General Robotics Ltd., a high-tech firm tucked away in this rural community community south of Tel Aviv has developed with this trademark Dogo, a 12-kilogram pistol-packing killer robot for close-quarter combat and counterterrorism operations. Remember, they keep mentioning terrorism and counterterrorism. What's the bigger agenda behind all this? But it says, named after the Argentine Mastiff, a fearless hunter trained to protect human companions, Dogo appears to be the world's first inherently armed tactical combat robot. So they're also using it for war as well. Unlike other small robots which carry no weapon at all, or much larger 250 kilogram class systems designed to carry add-on remote firing stations, Dogo is integrally built to house a standard Glock 26 9mm pistol in its belly. No robot out there on the market is organically designed to engage the target, said Shahar Gal, vice president for business development and son of the company's founding executive, retired Israeli Colonel Udi Gal. Dogo can be equipped with pepper spray, blinders, or other less than lethal means of engagement, Gal said. And like other robots, it relays two-way voice commands and can conduct remote hostage negotiations. And then it talks about the market and how it and what it's equipped with, as well as some of the other features that are on this robot. Now, and you don't think they're going to be using this in riot control measures when things start hitting the fan. You don't think they're going to be using this technology when stuff starts hitting the fan. Now, when will stuff start hitting the fan? I do not know. I do not make predictions. What I'm telling you, though, is that you should be getting ready for this stuff and seeing the warning signs ahead of time and mentally and spiritually preparing yourself and seeking Yahuwah so that you will be ready for this stuff when it happens, because it's only a matter of time. They're already conditioning you with all these Hollywood movies and all these other means and methods of doing so. They're also conditioning you with mainstream media sources pushing this agenda, and now we're starting to see it come to fruition. The question is, are you ready for it? Now, I reported this a few weeks ago from The Guardian, and it says, Rise of the Robots will harm the Earth as well as humans. And I'll quickly go over it again. I'll link the video below for more, but it says, your article worrying about a near future in which robots have displaced humans from many jobs fails to worry about the environmental collateral damage from any such displacement. The rise of the robots is a problem not just because of the immediate human costs, but because robots are fantastically energy hungry and thus accelerate the unsustainable and insupportable damage we are doing to the earth. And see, that's another agenda that they're pushing too. Unsustainable. Anytime you see that word, sustainability, you know, in the UN 2030 agenda of depopulating the plane, that should let you know something, because what are they going to try to do with this? They're going to try to say, oh, well, because of robots and because we need to increase robots, oh, we're doing a real harm to Mother Earth, and we need to get rid of some people in order to fight off this threat, in order to keep Earth sustainable, because they're going to keep pushing that global warming and that climate change lie and hoax, just like they're pushing all these other hoaxes like the Sandy hoaxes to fulfill bigger agendas of the new world order. And I hope you're seeing that and seeing what's to come. But it goes on to talk about all this, and it talks about how they're using these robots and how they could be a danger to the earth and everything, because that's what they're getting us ready for. But they're not the only ones, because CNN is also talking about it as well. And I also talked about this a couple of weeks ago too, but it says U.S. military spending millions to make cyborgs a reality. And later on, I'm going to take you to the actual government and the military that are getting ready for this stuff vehemently. But it says the U.S. military is spending millions on an advanced implant that would allow a human brain to communicate directly with computers. You mean biometric technology, as in getting ready for the new world order? If it succeeds, cyborgs will be a reality. But what they're not telling you is that they've already had this technology ready to go. They've had this technology for how many years, but now they're just finally revealing it to you because the plans of capping the new world order are finally complete. And I hope you see that. But it says the Pentagon's research arm, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, our favorite, and I'm being sarcastic, but it's another alphabet soup that we're going to be going to in a second. It says it hopes the implant will allow humans to directly interface with computers, which could benefit people with oral and visual disabilities, such as veterans injured in combat That's what they want you to believe. But it goes on to say the goal of the proposed implant is to open the channel between the human brain and modern electronics, according to DARPA's program manager, Philip Alveda. It says in January, DARPA announced its plan to spend up to $62 million on the project, which is part of its Neural Engineering System Design Program, or the NESD, which I'm going to take you to and we're going to go over in a second later on. But it says the implant would be small, no larger than 1 cubic centimeter, or roughly the size of 2 stacked nickels, according to DARPA. The implantable device aims to convert neurons in the brain into electronic signals and provide unprecedented data transfer bandwidth between the human brain and the digital world, according to a DARPA statement announcing the new project. Sounds like mind control to me, because that's exactly what they're doing, and that's exactly what they're getting ready for. DARPA sees the implant as providing a foundation for new therapies that could help people with deficits in sight or hearing by feeding digital, auditory, or visual information into the brain. That is exactly what they want you to believe. And of course, they're going to tell us it's not intended for military applications. Okay, but remember, what is the bigger agenda is the question. Now, I'm here at DARPA's actual website, or known as the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, another government alphabet agent, but it goes on to talk about the NESD, or the program that they're trying to do to develop implantable neural interfaces that are able to provide unprecedented signal resolution and data transfer bandwidth between the human brain and the digital world. And it says the program NESD, it does what? Stands to dramatically enhance research capabilities in neurotechnology and provide a foundation for new therapies. At least that's the agenda they're feeding us. But I'm also here and I want to talk about the DARPA Robotics Challenge as well. And as you can see, it says the Department of Defense, or the DoD, another alphabet soups, their strategic plan calls for the joint force to conduct humanitarian, disaster relief, and related operations. Some disasters, due to grave risks to the health and well-being of rescue and aid workers, prove too great in scale or scope for timely and effective human response. The DARPA Robotics Challenge, or the DRC, seeks to address this problem by promoting innovation in human-supervised robotic technology for disaster response operation. Oh, there's always a problem, and they always have to address said problem. But it goes on to say the primary technical goal of the DRC is to develop human-supervised ground robots capable of executing complex tasks in dangerous, degraded, human-engineered environments. Competitors in the DRC are developing robots that can utilize standard tools and equipment commonly available in human environments, ranging from hand tools and vehicles. To achieve its goal, the DRC is advancing the state-of-the-art supervised autonomy, mountain and dismounted mobility, and platform dexterity, strength, and endurance. And improvements will come later on. You can learn more about it at the actual website, which I will link below. But what are they trying to do? Technology for disaster response operations? You mean emergency drill, state of emergencies? Is that what they're getting ready for? Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because as you can see, time is running out. It's only a matter of time. But this is Truth Unveiled here. Shalom.